we finally get a good Thursday night game. All it took was Puka Nacua to be back. All it took was Cooper Kupp to be back. And honestly, looks a little less likely that Kupp is getting dealt at this point. But let's go ahead. Let's dive into our first offense here. And of course, I'll get to my Puka apologies later in the video. But anyway, let's go position by position. Let's update some fantasy football rankings to figure out what we think about these guys going into the future. Sam Darnold, previously going into this game, was ranked among the quarterbacks that were week-to-week streaming options that are going to give you the passing volume, but not the rushing upside. We can go through and we can look at all these quarterbacks, and we can try to adjust our rest of season rankings at this point. We were sitting with Sam Darnold at QB 12. We had him directly behind Goff, Caleb Williams, and right ahead of Cousins and Mahomes. These are like the week-to-week streamers. You play based off good matchups. I thought Darnold was a pretty damn good play this week based off the matchup against the Rams. And yeah, I mean, a fine day, 240 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Honestly, nothing changes here. Going over to running back, I know that maybe Aaron Jones didn't come through with like the craziest stat line at the end of the game. Or maybe Aaron Jones didn't give you the best fantasy performance you could have asked for. I mean, you only get 58 rushing yards. You only get 37 receiving yards and 2 receptions. But at the end of the day, with Jones, what else could you possibly have wanted to see? Like, this man gets every single touch at the running back position. Let me pull up, see if PFF has put their snaps out yet. Because if PFF has put the snaps out already, be super excited to see how many snaps you actually get from Aaron Jones. Not yet. Hopefully they will soon. But yeah, Aaron Jones, I mean, our previous take on him was 3-down workhorse in a good offense. Do I change that take? No. I mean, he looks like a 3-down workhorse in a good offense. Previously, we had Aaron Jones ranked at about RB 16. And maybe if you wanted to move him over CMC, I'm not moving him over CMC. I think CMC maybe comes back after the bye. Jacobs, also 3-down running back, good offense. James Cook, kind of same situation. So I think Aaron Jones, at least in my mind, ranked appropriately. High-end RB2. You start him every single week going into the future. No hesitation whatsoever. Going over to what we have with Justin Jefferson. The take that you had coming into this game was, oh, Justin Jefferson, elite wide receiver in fantasy. He's going to be an absolute alpha. It's just up to you on how you want to rank the top guys. And yeah, we had Justin Jefferson ranked wide receiver 4. If you want to sit here and argue until you're blue in the face, oh my gosh, Jefferson needs to be ahead of St. Brown. Oh my gosh, Jefferson needs to be ahead of Lamb. Oh my gosh, Jefferson needs to be ahead of Chase. You do you. I don't really care, right? All these guys are about the same inside the top 4. I think you have what's hilarious too is, I mean, I think you can go through and throw Tyreek Hill. Rearrange these top 6 guys in whatever way suits you. It doesn't freaking matter. If you got one, you're super excited about it. You start them every single week. Alpha wide receiver 1, that you're never ranking lower than wide receiver 12, regardless of how bad the matchup may or may not be. The only thing that maybe really changes here is Jordan Addison with an absolute stinker, which freaking sucks. I have Jordan Addison in a lot of underdog drafts. I don't have him in the flock league, so it doesn't necessarily hurt me there, but I was really hoping we would have a strong performance from Addison. It's a pretty damn good matchup. And Addison, at the end of the day, comes through and gets you the 3 targets, 22 receiving yards, 2 receptions. Not only does this suck, and also looking at this PFF article here, it does appear that Aaron Jones did play 92% of the snaps. That was the number. Aaron Jones played 92%, so yeah, I mean, the man's a workhorse. But Addison sucks as is, and we are about to get TJ Hawkinson added into this offense. So if like you're pissed, like, oh my gosh, Josh Oliver stole a touchdown from Addison. Wait till you get Hawkinson in, and all of a sudden, even more targets are going to be going away. I mean, freaking Jalen Naylor, 4 targets. Like, how? Addison, you're a Bolitnikoff winner. You had a double-digit touchdowns your rookie season. Efficient play. Round 1 NFL draft pick. Addison checks every single freaking box. And what has Addison actually done so far this season for us? Because this is the one guy in this Vikings offense we're going to have to update our rankings with. As everything else that we talked about up until now, I think it kind of just confirmed priors. Nothing really changed. And with Jordan Addison, this is what you've had so far this season. Obviously, deals with the injury early on. But let's not even look at the beginning of the season. Let's try to be objective about this. And let's look at what you've had for maybe the last, I don't know, God dang, sleepers, just freaking cheeks. Why am I even showing this? The last 4 games. We had 4 targets, 8 targets, 4 targets, 3 targets. So Addison, since coming back from injury, is sitting here averaging about 5 targets a game. 5 targets a game where you're about to add TJ Hawkinson back into this offense. So Addison, I don't know where we had him previously. We probably got to move him down. I hate to admit this. I hate to say this. I don't see how I can justify having Addison ahead of Darnell Mooney at this point. Addison's not startable. His situation's arguably about to get worse. I don't see how we can justify having him ahead of Ladd McConkey. I think we probably move Addison down to wide receiver 38-ish. The only way you ever consider starting this dude is if you play in a 12-team format with multiple flex spots. I'm hoping he proves us wrong. I'm hoping he turns it around, but 5 targets game just simply not cutting it when you're about to have added competition in with TJ Hawkinson. Now, in terms of anything else in this offense, none of it matters. Trent Sherfield gets a touchdown. Who cares? Josh Oliver gets a touchdown. Who cares? Jalen Naylor has 4 targets. Who cares? You're not picking anybody up here. So just reiterate, Aaron Jones still 3-down running back start every week. Sam Darnold still a quarterback you stream based off matchup. Justin Jefferson still one of the top 5 alpha wide receivers in the league. Nothing changes there. The only thing that changes is Addison becomes less appealing for your flex now. This is the offense where things change. So this was the worst matchup you could have possibly asked for. You're going up against the Minnesota Vikings, who have so far had the best defense in the NFL this season. People are saying that, oh my gosh, the Rams are done. They're going to trade Stafford. Oh, Cooper Kupp is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. The Vikings 3.5 point favorites in this game. And here you have Stafford dropping the 4 passing touchdowns, 279 passing yards. How many games have the Vikings given up this many points this season? Let's go through and let's figure this out. So the Vikings so far this year, you were looking at, we were starting off in week 1, 6 points allowed, 17 points allowed against the Niners, 7 points allowed against the Texans, 29 against the Packers, 17 against the Jets. I guess now back-to-back losses here for the Vikings, allowing 31 and 30 points. Do I think that the Vikings defense is slipping? Blah, blah, blah. Honestly, probably not. It's just that the Rams are probably a really good offense going into the future. Going through and looking at Matthew Stafford, now previous to this, he was a quarterback that I really wasn't interested in considering him in the weekly streamers. But now, now that you have Puka and Kupp back in, I know people are going to hate me for saying this, but could you start Baker Mayfield over Matthew Stafford at this point? Realistically speaking, I don't know how you can go through and start Baker with no Evans, no Godwin, where his top 2 receivers are Jalen McMillan and Sterling Shepard. Whereas Stafford, your top 2 receivers are Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So I'm moving Stafford up in the same range as the other weekly streamers. To be honest with y'all, the quarterback rankings maybe seem like a little weird just because for me, if I have a top 6 quarterback, or maybe even a top 7 quarterback because Kyler's going to run. These are the guys that you start every single week regardless. I mean, if you have Jalen Hurts, you don't even care about quarterback rankings, you start him every week. You have Allen, you don't care about quarterback rankings, you start him every single week. Same thing with pretty much the top 6 or 7 guys. Then once you get to the range of like starting with Dak Prescott, it almost doesn't even matter how you rank these guys. Like 9 through about 18 all the way down to Brock Purdy. They're all about the same. And it's just who has the good matchup. I'm willing to roster 2 of them and just play the matchups between the 2. So like if you were sitting with Mahomes, I probably don't want to drop Mahomes, but if you can pick up Geno off the waiver wire and then play the matchups week to week, probably a good idea. If you had Baker, don't want to drop Baker, but if you can pick up Stafford off the waiver wire, play the matchups between the 2, probably a good idea. The issue with Stafford, of course, is the man will literally never run the ball. So you're definitely more interested in Stafford and his 6-point passing touchdown format than a 4 points. Now, going over to what we have with the running back position, the prior that you had here was Kyren Williams was an elite bell cow to the truest extent. Seems like Kyren's still healthy going into the future. Kyren Williams gets you the 23 carries. Kyren Williams comes through with the, receiving touchdown to go along with this. You get the 7 targets and the 5 receptions. So you have a total of 30 opportunities here for Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams in our rankings previous to this was sitting as the RB3 right behind Barkley, Henry. Can we move him? Honestly, I think I'd rather have Kyren over Lamb and St. Brown rest of season. I just think it's harder to find the running back production than it's going to be to find, to be able to replicate what CeeDee Lamb's given you. So I'm going to be moving Kyren Williams up to RB4 here. If you were trying to find a realistic price tag, if you wanted to trade for Kyren Williams, you can always go to the trade finder on the site. This is completely free whenever you want to use it. Like if you say, oh, I have Kyren Williams, I want to see if I can trade him. You go through, just throw Kyren Williams in here. Say, oh, I play in a full BBR formats. I want to see 10, 12 team leagues, what the deals are. Like recent trades with Kyren Williams, someone sends Jefferson, Kyren for Neighbors, St. Brown. I'd way rather the Jefferson, Kyren side of this. What are some smaller deals? I hate looking at the 4-for-4 deals. Kyren Williams, Malik Neighbors, give me Kyren Williams, not close. Somebody trades Bijan, 2-2 for Kyren, JSN. How is Kyren this cheap? This seems like a fair deal. Barkley versus Kyren and Pickens. Up to you. If I'm desperate for a receiver, I could go for it. But the majority of Kyren Williams trades here, he actually looks obtainable, and I'd probably prefer the Kyren Williams side, which is surprising. Let me see where the experts have him ranked on the site. Now, obviously, when we're adjusting rankings, those are my rankings. If you ever go to flockfantasy.com to look at the free trade calculator or the free expert ranks, whatever, the expert ranks that are free is just going to be the average of everybody here. If you wanted to sort by mine, then you'd click my name. You can see I have Kyren Williams at at the 4th spot overall. Looks like the average expert does have Kyren at 7. But for me, can y'all spam the chat? Would y'all rather have Kyren Williams or Breece Hall rest of season? Would you rather have Kyren or Breece? Because it looks like the expert average on the site prefers Breece. I'd rather have Kyren. So we got Kyren, Breece, Kyren. Oh, I forgot. I'm not sharing the chats. Kyren, Breece, Kyren. Kyren, Breece, Kyren. It looks like most people are on the Kyren side. We got a couple of Breeces mixed in, just making sure I'm not losing my mind here. But yeah, nothing really changes, right? The only thing is, do you move Kyren ahead of a couple of the elite receivers? We already knew he's a 3-down back. Going over to the receivers, this is what we need to update massively. So going into the game, obviously a lot of people are hanging out with us in the live stream earlier today. Really appreciate you, and I'm really sorry to screw you over like this. Obviously, we get a surprise today that Puka Nacua is going to be playing. I had no freaking idea. Then we get a report, Puka Nacua is going to be on a snap count. And then we go over and we look at projections, and we pull this up over on Underdog Fantasy, and Puka Nacua was higher, lower 30.5 receiving yards. So I look at that. I look at the report. He'll be on a snap count. I look at the projection that he's higher, lower 30.5 receiving yards, where you see Tank Dell at higher, lower 62.5. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to play Puka Nacua? So I previously thought that Puka was not somebody that you should have started this week was actually hilarious is I went through and I took not the higher than 30 receiving yards on Puka. I went with like the touchdown with like the 2.1x multiplier thinking I was smart. Hilarious that I thought maybe Puka was better than the projections had him, and I somehow still managed to lose. Now, I will try to redeem myself with two things. One, Underdog, my favorite pick right now is the lower than 62.5 total yards with Tank Dell. And also, I actually got Underdog to agree to get everybody who has ever used code FLOCK. It doesn't matter if you use code FLOCK 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, yesterday, today, or tomorrow. You have a free Malik Neighbors pick more than less than half a total yard for the Monday night game. Make sure you take advantage. It's only for code FLOCK users. Obviously, if you're not already on Underdog, you can go through and you can actually look to take an additional free Dak Prescott pick, more than less than half a total yard as well. That will be for this Sunday night game. That pick, however, is only going to be for new users on Underdog. But new users with code FLOCK will also get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You'll also get a free team review in the live stream we're doing every single night. Just go through the link in the description or comment section. Use promo code FLOCK. Make sure that you take advantage of it. But moving over to Puka Nacua. 9 targets, leads the team in targets. Can I see how much snaps this guy ended up playing? How much of this snap count was just absolute complete BS? Let me see if PFF has put this out. Okay. So, I mean, the man immediately comes through and, okay, PFS put it out. Yeah, snap count my ass. Are you kidding me here? The man plays 40 snaps, which doesn't seem like a ton, but 22 routes run. Cooper Kupp ran 27. The usage is pretty much identical. Maybe you get a little bit more Puka Nacua in the future, but 22 out of 33 potential routes run is still a decent amount here. So Puka Nacua comes in immediately a top asset in fantasy, and his role will even improve going into the future. Now, the thing that maybe sucks a little bit is now that the Rams win, it's probably less likely they're looking to sell Kupp. Looks like Kupp's probably here. But Puka needs to fly up our rankings. We were ranking Puka this week. I didn't think the man would be coming back anytime soon. I thought he was going to be out for a couple more weeks. So to go through and look at our wide receiver rankings, we had Kupp at 10. At this point, I'd rather have Puka over Kupp. I may rather have Puka over Collins. You're not going to have Collins for a few more weeks. Puka's already through his bye. Collins has the week 14 bye. Can y'all spam the chat? Would you rather have Puka Nacua or Drake London rest of season? London still has the bye week to go through in week 12. Puka Nacua gets another 10 days to rest after this game to presumably be fully healthy starting in week 9. Would you rather have Puka or London? Please let me know in the chat. Puka, London. Puka, London, Puka, London. London, Puka, London, Puka. So it does look like maybe we have Puka in the right range. Maybe did I move Puka too far up? I'm not even going to ask y'all Puka versus Nico Collins, because I know a lot of people are going to come out here and they're going to scream Nico. But the reality is, like I said, you're going to get an extra 2 to 3 games more with Puka based off the Nico Collins injury. Him on the IR plus him to still go through the bye. So I think points per game, Nico Collins outscores Puka rest of season, but I think you get more games played from Puka. And here's what I don't agree with, because I see somebody in the chat that says Kupp over Puka. Here's my thought process, right? Let's go back to what fantasy football drafts look like coming into the season and what our priors were with this situation. The priors that you had with this situation is, at least where I was doing most of my drafts on Underdog, Puka Nacua was going at the end of the first, the beginning of the second, and Cooper Kupp was going at the end of the second, the beginning of the third. And honestly, I was drafting more Puka than I was Kupp as well. I was taking a ton of Puka at the 1-2 turn. Felt very bad after the injury. Doesn't look as bad now. But our priors coming into the season were that Puka you want over Cup. And then what happened week 1? Puka Nacua gets hurt. And then afterwards, Cooper Kupp sees 21 targets week 1 with no Puka. Kupp just freaking blows up. But that was with no Puka. Now that we have Puka back and Kupp's here as well, we see Puka with fewer snaps, with more receptions, more yards, more targets, and a smaller role. And that role is going to continue to expand. So for me, I would rather have Puka over Kupp rest of season. Obviously, coming into this week, I just showed you I had Kupp ranked over him. But, I mean, if we take a step backwards and you see Puka look this healthy and pick up where he left off last year after the best rookie wide receiver season of all time, I think you kind of have to go with him. Now, going over to Kupp, this was his first week back too, right? I don't want to sit here and act like these wide receivers and what they did this week is what you're going to expect through the rest of the entire season. But I mean, Cooper Kupp sees 8 targets. The receiving touchdown was incredible, not on the Kupp end, but what Stafford was able to do extending the play. I think you can be pretty damn confident, not only that this is an offense that is well above average, but also that this is an extremely concentrated offense as well. It kind of seems funny that Demarcus Robinson comes through. Demarcus Robinson sees multiple receiving touchdowns. Demarcus Robinson scores 17 points, the same amount of points as Puka Nacua. Because if you look at the actual usage of this, Puka and Cooper Kupp combined for 17 targets out of a potential 34. Puka and Kupp see half the targets that Stafford throws. So honestly, going into the future, I would expect that Puka and Kupp, from a fantasy points perspective, take up a higher percentage of this offensive pie, where Demarcus Robinson kind of gets lucky and steals a couple of receiving touchdowns. So if you think that like, oh, this is a one-off game, oh, blah, 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 you're wrong. If your league mate with Puka Nacua is not willing to accept the fact that he is yet again a top 12 wide receiver immediately, that both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are both top 12 options starting today. They're already through their bye weeks. The offense should be great. It's extremely concentrated as well. You should go through and you should try to buy low and scoop up these guys if possible. Let me see if anything else matters here. Do you go and pick up Demarcus Robinson after 2 receiving? No. If anybody picks up Demarcus Robinson on your waiver wire, unless it's the deepest of leagues, just drop a laughing emoji in the chat. Laugh at him for a little bit. But, Demarcus Robinson, 3 freaking targets out of 34 Matthew Stafford pass attempts. Target share less than 10%. If you haven't an underdog basketball draft, cool, you get a couple lucky touchdowns. But going into the future, I don't know if you could ever start this dude. But, yeah, I mean, the main story here is you have a total of 24 of 34 Matthew Stafford's pass attempts going to Puka, Kupp, Kyren. Looking at this rest of season here, I mean, adjusting the specific rankings that we have in the overall, I'd probably rather have Puka over Kittle. I'd probably rather have Kupp, a chance close. But in the overall right now, I think Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, if we were to redraft today, are both at least round 2 picks. And then Kyren Williams is a top 5 pick. These are the only guys that matter in Los Angeles. Stafford's still a streamer because he's not going to run. Everything's going to get concentrated between that top running back and those top 2 receivers. And you should be freaking pumped. And yes, Kittle is very high in my rankings. That can be for a different video, though. But Kittle's going to crush with no Ayuk. And Kittle's already crushed. He's already been by far and away the best tight end in fantasy. Now, I think that should be it. I think we talked about everything that matters here. I do want to remind y'all, of course, one, make sure you're taking advantage of that Underdog promo. Underdog was super nice to allow me to hook y'all up with that free Malik Neighbors pick for Monday night. And I do want to reiterate, it doesn't matter if you signed up to Underdog 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, yesterday, today, or tomorrow. As long as you use code FLOCK, you're going to have that free neighbors pick. Please make sure you take advantage of it. And also, again, if you're new to Underdog, you'll also get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. And you'll be getting that free Dak Prescott pick, more than less than half a total yard, for the game on Sunday night. If you're new to Underdog with code FLOCK, you can find that link in the description and comment section. You'll get a free team review as well with code FLOCK through flockfantasy.com. Just make sure that you set up an account on flockfantasy.com with the same email address to your Underdog account. And then over there on the site, we did have an issue linking with Yahoo Leagues earlier this morning and late last night. But that issue has been resolved. So if you wanted to link your team on flockfantasy.com and see updated power rankings for free, you are more than welcome to. Just go over to flockfantasy.com. You have to play on Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo. But as long as you play on one of those, you can link your team for free. That link will also be in the description if you're interested, but I'm sure most of you all have already done that. Super cool tool that I think is very useful for y'all. But I really do appreciate you. I really hope that you have Puka Nacua on your team. I really hope you didn't listen to me saying not to start him, and the man goes out there and drops 17 points on a cool Thursday night. But I really appreciate you, and I really do hope I get to see you out with the video tomorrow.